This is Trace Mayer from HowToVanish.com, and in this video I'm going to help you take control of your privacy. Identity theft is a major problem, and it occurs a lot more often than anybody would like to admit. One of the problems with all these know your client, know your customer regulations is that we have to get social security numbers and we have to do all of these things to verify our identity, but they aren't really that secure in actually verifying our identity, because identity thieves, if they just get access to that personal information, then they can pretext to get it, they can do all these different nefarious things, and then they got access to our identity, and then they're able to masquerade as if they're us. And this happens all the time. You see bank always getting compromised. A major credit card processor recently got compromised. And if we didn't have the current system that we have for requiring identity the way that identity is supposed to be done and having to use it for all types of things, for example, like what difference does it make whether a business actually knows your name or knows your birth date or knows your social security number? Like, why do we have to have a 1099 with our name and birth date and social security number? All these things on there become a huge risk and just a treasure trove for nefarious individuals to get access to it. So I'm going to give you 7 privacy techniques and tips that you can use to reduce the risk that you might have your identity stolen. First, just be extremely cautious when you're asked to provide your social security number or your personal identification number. Always ask the organization what type of security system they have in place to protect that information, because you never know who might get access to that data. And in a lot of cases, the companies, they don't necessarily want to spend a lot of money to guard it, because who bears the cost if it's compromised? Yeah, you do. They don't. 2, be wary of emails from banks or companies that ask you to verify your personal information. This is a common tactic called phishing. And hackers and other nefarious individuals, what they'll do is they'll try to make the email look like it really is coming from that bank or company that you're affiliated with. But they might even send you to a website that looks exactly like the website of the bank or company that you have a relationship with, but it'll be a fake one. And then they'll use the information that you might try to input to then compromise your real account. So, you have to look at the HTTPS and make sure that you're on a legitimate domain. Just, be wary of these phishing attacks. Third, don't just carelessly toss your important papers in the garbage. Once you put that trash out, you lose your reasonable expectation of privacy in it. And so, a lot of people go dumpster diving. And think about what they could find. They could find your ATM receipts, they could find your credit card offers, your bank statements, your utility bills, all these things. And so, just put them through a paper shredder. That's one option. You could incinerate them if you like fire. And then you could also use a ghost address. This will keep your mail safe as long as it's a secure ghost address. I like Earth Class Mail personally. It'll keep your mail safe from anybody who might just be going around the neighborhood compromising the mail that's in the mailboxes. Sure, it's a federal offense to get in somebody's mailbox, but what's the probability that you're going to get caught? If somebody's going around snooping in other people's mailboxes. So, that's another thing that you can do to reduce that risk. Fourth, when you're paying, don't necessarily pay with a credit or debit card. Pay with cash. If you can, pay with cash or with Bitcoin on the internet. Stratfor, they're a leading global intelligence firm, and their customer database got compromised. And all of a sudden, the people who compromised it, they started making donations with all the credit cards and bank account details of the customers. So, there's a perfect example. If Stratfor had accepted Bitcoin for subscriptions and things like that, they wouldn't need your name, they wouldn't need your address, they wouldn't need your credit card number, they wouldn't need all this information. They would just did you pay a certain amount of Bitcoins or not? Did you pay a certain cash amount or not? And then you're not in the transactional database of these merchants, whether it's a restaurant or a store or whoever, you can try to minimize that trail that's out there about you. Fifth, sometimes thieves, they'll try to demand your personal information from you over the phone. These phishing scams we talked about with the email, they're not just limited to the emails. They could also come to you over the phone. So if you receive any type of a phone call from another person who wants you to provide them with private personal information, and you don't necessarily know for certainty the authenticity of that person, then just don't give them the information. Like, who knows? It might be some type of shady debt collector or whatever, or somebody running a scam. Like, you don't know who that person is. So, like, be very careful when you consider giving any types of details over the phone, especially if your line is not secure. That's another problem. Someone might be listening in on your line. And so, just be careful about those types of things. 6, as sad as it sounds, some scammers out there, they'll pretend to be some type of a charitable organization, and they'll try to guilt you into like not donating, as if like you should feel guilty for not donating to some charitable organization anyways. And so if you're not sure about whether or not they're a real charity, if you're not sure about whether or not the person on the other end of the line is actually who they're saying they are, you can request a pamphlet in the mail. You can like go look up the URL and make sure that you send money to the legit organization. Don't ever kind of let yourself get boxed into the hole or boxed into a corner where you feel like you have to give the information. Because like if you feel kind of a strange feeling in your gut, in a lot of cases that's your intuition telling you something's wrong. And you just take your time, back up, take a deep breath, let a day or two cool off, and then you can go about releasing information if you really feel like you need to. Number 7, most identity thefts occur when somebody loses their wallet or their purse. If you lose any personal information like your social security card, your birth certificate, your ID, your driver's license, credit, debit cards, your checkbook, your cell phone, etc., immediately notify the relevant institutions and banks. And if any of the information is stolen, notify the police as well. One thing I do is I actually keep a scan of all the different documents that I keep in my wallet, so credit cards, etc. And then I encrypt those within a TrueCrypt volume. And then I store that in the cloud, whether like on my own server or Dropbox account, something like that. And so if I'm traveling or whatnot, I can always access all those phone numbers and stuff on the cards that are in my wallet and cancel them, things like that. And so that's a helpful thing that I do to, in case something like that happens. I also use a Mojito wallet. It's a minimalist wallet. And so it puts my iPhone in there, and then I carry 4 cards with me. So I have 2 credit cards, I have a driver's license, and I have my passport card. Because I don't like to use my driver's license when people ask for ID. I like to use my passport card because there's no physical address on the passport card. So that just, reduces the amount of information that gets out there. And so, there are some tips for you, 7 privacy tips and techniques that you can just use to implement in your own life. A lot of it is just kind of common sense, just be on your guard, when people are asking you for your personal information, stuff like that. Oh, and, since 7 tips weren't necessarily good enough, here's one super secret tip. Use a New Mexico LLC and have a tax ID number associated with that. And so then, instead of the accounts or the 1099s being in your own name, they're actually in the name and the EIN number of that LLC and not your own name and your own social security number. So that's like a super secret ninja level tip that you can use to protect your privacy. Anyways, thanks for protecting your privacy. The more of us who do it, the more difficult it becomes for anybody trying to breach any particular individual's privacy. Hey everybody, this has been Trace Mayer. Thanks for listening. Don't be shy, we've got an emailing list at howtovanish.com and a free YouTube channel, howtovanish.tv. Go there and get yourself signed up, and we'll keep you up to date on everything we do to help you take control of your privacy.